It's time for Tech Talk with Matt Dickerson. Good morning, Matt. How are you today?
Yeah, good, Chris. And it's not time for Tech Talk just now. It's always time for Tech Talk. Don't you just think it's time for Tech Talk every minute of every day, Chris?
I'm going to get into trouble from my boss now. You're probably right there, I think. Yeah. Look, first up today, mate, in a world where a new drone is announced every second week, what makes the new Ring drone unique?
Well, it's actually got a really interesting feature that can be a bit scary, and some people are a bit scared about it. It sits in a dock at your home and sits there idly doing nothing, recording no video footage, not flying around. But if you arm it and you're out of the house and it detects someone in your house, it comes out of its dock and flies around your house, recording that footage to the cloud just to see if there's any intruder or anything that it should be looking for around your home. And you, of course, can see that via your smartphone. The other thing you can do is you can actually manually initiate a fly around your house. So you can be at work and you think, oh, did I leave that back door open? Or what about the fridge? Maybe I just forgot to close the fridge this morning. So you get onto your smartphone and you actually fly your drone around your home and have a look at things around your home. So it's a bit scary. It does do some autonomous flying. When you do first buy it, you actually just let it learn your house layout and learn where to go, where the lounge room is, where the kitchen is, where the bedrooms are, which sounds a bit scary as well. And then it can fly autonomously around there if it does detect some motion. So it's getting to that point where autonomous, yes, that's great. But again, when people are a little bit worried about surveillance, worried about people being spied upon, then this is the sort of thing they're worried about. Having said that, it's probably pretty hard to have the drone spy on you, given the amount of noise that a drone makes, and flying around your home with a drone, then obviously that makes a fair bit of noise.
Yeah, and dash cams, they're popular around the world. Matt, what new features are manufacturers adding on?
Well, Amazon's just released a new dash cam, staying on the theme of video footage here, that if you get pulled up by the police, you simply say, Alexa, I'm getting pulled over, and immediately it starts recording that information to the cloud. Now, this is probably in response to some incidents we've seen in America where police have maybe been a little bit heavy-handed. I'm sure that doesn't happen with our New South Wales police, but the idea is that you can record exactly what's happening. And the other thing that you could do is, if there was an altercation, maybe a bit of road rage, you can do the same thing. You could say the same command and immediately it starts recording that. And if it was me, I've never been involved in a road rage. Not a lot of road rage happens out on our regional roads, Chris, but I've never been involved in a road rage. But if it was me involved in a road rage, I'd make it very clear to the person that maybe I was having an interaction with that this particular incident was being recorded. And I'm sure that people are on just that little bit better behaviour when they know that they're being videoed and know that it might be on Facebook in 10 minutes' time. So I think it's a good safety mechanism in general, but also it probably modifies people's behaviour. So good dash cam. And the other part about this dash cam is most dash cams record the information to a card on the actual device. But if you get your car stolen, for example, or someone smashes your windscreen, you might be able to look at it afterwards. But if they steal the dash cam or the car's gone, you can't see it. But this particular dash cam, because it does record footage to the cloud, you can actually look at that footage remotely as well. So if your car is stolen, you can actually look at your dash cam and see where it's being driven and presumably give the police the information about where the car is.
Right. I'm speaking to technologist Matt Dickerson. And Matt, is the latest move by Apple driven by the environment or profit?
Oh, look, I'd have to say that hopefully it's driven by the environment, but some people are a little bit cynical about the moves by Apple, and they've removed the standard 5-watt charging brick from all new Apple Watches. And the idea is that you've already got lots of USB charging ports in your home. Every device typically comes out with some sort of USB charging brick. You can have USB charging ports on your computer, for example. So people have typically got those, and when they buy a new device, they get the charging brick and they leave it in the box, or they stick it in the cupboard and never to be used again. It still comes with the standard cable that you need for an Apple Watch, for example, but it doesn't come with a charging brick. And again, Apple is talking about this being good for the environment. They've actually made their packaging smaller. So for example, when they load up containers for have these watches shipped around the world, they can fit more watches in the container. So that sounds like a good thing from an environmental perspective. And so that's the message they're giving. But obviously it also makes the device a little bit cheaper. They don't have to find room in the packaging for it. They don't have to produce the charging bricks. So have they reduced the price of the actual watches by the same amount as what the charging brick would be? And sure, they're a little bit cheaper, but is it matching that? I'm not quite convinced about that, Chris. So it could be driven by profit, could be driven by the environment. You might say it's driven by both, perhaps.
One thing I'm a little bit disappointed with in not just Apple, but some of these bigger companies, is that when you've been a loyal customer, for example, I've been with Apple since about 2009, since their inception here in Australia, and they don't reward you for being a long-term customer. For example, giving you a discount on your next Apple iPhone.
Yeah, good luck with that, Chris. Good luck with getting a discount. When you've got such a huge chunk of the market, and Apple at the moment with your phones, for example, they're sitting up in the mid 60% market share in Australia. Now, worldwide, they're not number one, but in Australia, definitely they're number one. So when you've got that much market share, you tend to flex your muscles. And Apple didn't get to be a company worth multi-trillions of dollars without being able to flex a bit of muscle every now and again. So you keep working on that one, Chris, and I wish you all the luck.
I'll put in a submission. Look, can you trust an internet-connected door lock to secure your home, Matt?
This is the ongoing question, and I do. I've got fingerprint, and I've got Wi-Fi devices, and I've got smartphone devices to get into my home. So I've got lots of these things, but this is the real question at the moment about, can you trust them? Because let's face it, you've got pretty basic security in most homes. Windows are pretty easy to be smashed to get into most homes, but there's various security features people have. But your front door, if you have it easily so that people can get in your front door, then it almost invites people to come in and break in and steal stuff. So can you really trust some of these things? And some of the locks are getting very clever at the moment. You've got basically geotagged or location-aware smartphone devices that basically, when you walk up to your front door, as you approach it, the lock can unlock it. It's aware of where your phone is, and it actually unlocks your door for you. So when you get to that level of security, it's a little bit scary. Someone steals your phone, they can just walk straight into your house. I mean, I've got a couple of cars that's how I access the car, is via my smartphone. I walk up to the car, it detects a smartphone, and then away I go, it walks into the car. So effectively, you've got a fair bit of technology going on around homes, and that's the real question. Can you trust all of these gadgets? Can you trust the security they've put in place? Can they be easily hacked? And I suppose the answer to the question is, basically, you've got to be aware of some of these things people can do. You've got to make sure that you know what people can do. And ultimately, it's a bit the same as a key. You just have to be careful with it. You might argue that it is safer because you don't lend a key out to someone. They don't go and get another key cut. But people can hack into the systems there. So I suppose I'm not giving a really good answer, Chris, as to whether or not you can trust the security around these. But as long as you're aware of it, I think there's a fair bit of trust you can put in some of these modern access devices.
I'm a bit sceptical about this next subject. Can a brisk walk generate useful energy?
Well, what do you define as useful, Chris? How much energy is useful? I mean, there's been a new device developed by researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. And basically, if you go through a normal walk, a fairly brisk walk, the actual air that goes down these tubes actually generates a bit of power. Now, not much. We're talking about 2.5 milliwatts. Now, if you're hoping to keep your phone charged up while you go for a walk, that's not enough power to basically charge up your phone. Most phones typically rely on, say, a 5-watt charger to be able to do it. So 2.5 milliwatts is not going to cut it. But the idea is that you could actually power a small number of LED lights. So, for example, I've got a cap that I run with at night time that's got a couple of LED lights in the front of it. You can actually power a couple of those lights by the actual wind generated. But the idea here is that they're obviously doing this for large scale. You're not going to solve the world's climate change problems by generating 2.5 milliwatts of power as you go for a walk. But if you take that same technology and take it to larger equations, somewhere where, for example, you might be able to put not a wind turbine on the roof of a building, but by putting a couple of tubes that have air flowing through it, that can actually start to generate power. And that's where they're headed with this. They're doing small applications, small testing, and then getting to the stage where they scale up. And the great thing about this, Chris, is that there are lots of different solutions being worked on to solve the way we generate power. And this is just another one of those solutions.
Another fascinating week of technology topics there, Matt. We will join you on YouTube. Of course, you can be contacted, md@matthewdickerson.com. Talk to you next week, mate. Have a great week.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.